Perfect. It's 5 strings. There you go. Guy's a little out of tune. It's been a week since we worked with it. I had my first period class and second period class come in, and we did our intro to guitar as normal, and then we had our third period class come in that Annie was a part of. I'd always talked to students previously about we don't have any left-handed instruments in the classroom, and so I had examples of musicians who were left-handed musicians who played the standard guitar. Generally, left-handed people are better at a standard guitar than right-handed people because your left hand is doing most of the work. But I no sooner got done talking to the students about how we're all going to be playing standard guitar with our left hands fretting when I noticed that, we had a student that didn't have a left hand. So
Annie came home and told me that Mr. Dreher and Mr. Ginn were going to come up with a concoction for her arm so she could play guitar. Mr. Ginn and Mr. Dreher, every time they would come up with a plan to make their pieces or get their pieces, they would ask me, make sure it was okay, and I guess I'm okay with it. My thing is, as long as Annabelle's comfortable with it, I'm completely okay with it. If there's something that she's not okay with, then that's, her choice. And I try to just, if she's comfortable, roll with it.
What I've been doing is I make a lot of things on our 3D printers here at our school, and it's not been uncommon for someone to say, hey, can you make something happen? And then anywhere from 12 minutes to a couple days later, here it is on your desk. One of the projects that was brought to me was by Mr. Ginn, and he had brought up this idea of how one of our students would love to be able to play guitar, and at the time it was quite challenging for her. And I said, okay, so what does this need to look like? How do we make this happen? And it turned out that there was a previously existing file where we could take that idea and make it real.
So my husband actually won her guitar at one of the arcades here in town a few years ago. She was super stoked. She would just lay it on her bed and just strum it with her hand, and she was like, I want to know how to play guitar one day. And I was like, well, someday we'll do that. Well, now that we're in 5th grade and we're doing it, she wanted to learn how again. And so then with Mr. Dreher and Mr. Ginn, getting her the props and, helping form the things that she needs to play, she's interested in doing it again.
this is one of our school guitars that we purchased last year for a student who had dwarfism. This is a half-size guitar, and I purchased a left-handed nut and a left-handed saddle, fitted into the bridge, and then I took some strings and I strung it upside down so that so Annie would be able to play it left-handed instead of right-handed like everybody else. I talked with Mr. Dreher, and we figured out a way to be able to flip the orientation so that it was the right way around, so the thumb pick would be striking the correct direction.
And so I went ahead and I took that model and I 3D printed it, gave it to our kiddo, and the kiddo looked at me and said, "It works." I said, "Great, does it work well?" And she's like, "Yes." I said, "Are you telling me the truth, or are you trying to make me feel good?" And she's like, "Trying to make you feel good?" I said, "This doesn't make me feel good. I need to know what needs to be different about it." And she says, "Well, if you could change this, it would work well." And I said, "Okay, so what needs to be changed?" She said, "Well, it's flat, and if it was curved, it'd work better." So using a heating gun, we were able to heat that piece up, we were able to bend it, and we made it conform to her arm. I said, "Okay, is this what you want?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Are you telling me the truth? Are you telling me what I want to hear?" And she's like, "Telling you what you want to hear?" I said, "Okay, what do I need to change now?" And she's like, "If it was longer." I said, "Okay, what piece needs to be longer? Because this piece is in multi-steps." And she's like, "Well, it doesn't look like it can be made longer." And I said, "Okay, well, what makes you think that it can't be longer?" She said, "Well, the piece that's missing it's just significant." It started out with a piece like this. This is the original 3D print, but it was actually a straight facing forward piece. So what we did is we actually took a piece and we 3D printed it longer for her. And then we had that same angle, the same angle she was using, and she said, "Yep, this works better," but she wanted this one bent too. So we went ahead and we bent it. And what's really neat about 3D modeling is we went from this is an idea to this being in her hands, I believe, within 24 hours. And this was with multiple different iterations. And so when it comes to 3D printing, we were able to make it. And so I handed this off to her, I handed it to Ginn, I said, "Hey, here's the pieces, go crazy." And so he did, and they practiced. There were a couple times where she did come over and she's like, "Can we make this change?" Well, because of how this filament is made, we can actually take a heat gun to it and we can bend it into different conformations and things of that nature. So we bent that.
This was the third iteration that we had created together, and so thumb pick goes in here, and we strap it onto Annie's arm every day that she has guitar, and she's able to reach a little bit further and be able to strike at the correct angle. So Annie brought in her own guitar that she has from home also. I was able to switch the orientation of the nut and saddle on her guitar as well, put new strings on it so she can practice at home also. I'll tell you, Mr. Dreher decided to go a whole step further and try to invent a hand.
It means a lot. It's actually like super rewarding knowing that people are helping her out, getting her to the accomplishments that she wants to have accomplished.
And so one of the things that I focused on is how do we make as much as quickly for as many kids as possible. Some of the examples of those are things like this. This is just a standard old guitar pick. We actually went ahead and we 3D printed these. So we started piecing these different things together, seeing that we can make different thicknesses, and we did this whole unit on how do we choose the right material for the right job. And so we ended up with these guitar picks. What's awesome is for $20, we were able to make 1,750. One of the things that we worked on was actually 3D printing our own basically the leg or the side piece of these. And so if during a school day our kiddos, they break one of these, I can run these on our 3D printers. Takes about 15 minutes to about a half hour. I can 3D print these, and these actually just jam into the side piece. And so until they can get to the eye doctor, whenever that might be, some people it takes a lot longer because of how backed up everything is. They can slam that onto that piece. They can wear it for the next days, weeks, months. We had one kid wear it for almost an entire school year. Just
The ability to have 3D printers in our building has opened up so many opportunities for students. If any of the teachers in the school need something from him, he's pretty open to having them come over and figure out what they would need and how he could make it for them. Just having the 3D printers in the school has been super beneficial for this school, and we really appreciate having them. It's one of those things that with 3D printing, we can make a lot of things happen for our students. We've been able to 3D print things for our elementary schools and for the middle schools, which is the areas I usually am helping in. Some of our students, when they get out of my classroom, they don't have access to the same tools that we have here at school. Some kiddos don't have the internet access, some kids don't have the technology. And so one of the things that I spend a lot of time focusing on is how do I make it so that as time goes on, they can improve it themselves? So what's nice about her model that we're working on right now for both the guitars and for her prosthetic that we're playing around with right now, when she goes to 7th grade, she'll end up with a file that has all of those different images for her. Using the PVC, using 3D printing, she'll be able to make her own prosthetics, know how to do it herself. She can make it to fit any attachment, whether it's serious or silly. She can make those attachments for under $5. Extremely grateful. We're grateful for the foundation, we're grateful for those donors, we're grateful for the community members who support us, because with that support, I can bring these things to our students, and then our students are able to actually access it. Instead of saying, it's kind of like this, we put it in front of our students. We get to show them those examples. They're taking tests using 3D prints when they get to the plant and animal cells. They're able to tell you the different pieces instead of just the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. They can actually show you those pieces. And so I'm very grateful, and I know that our students and their faculty are also grateful for these opportunities to make these amazing things for our students. So it's nice to know that people really do care.